Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about cutting your grass with a rotor cutter, also known as a brush hog, brush cutter, versus a finishing mower. Now, about 8 years ago when I first got this tractor, I was debating which one I should get. I ended up getting both. But the thing is, you might be in a situation where you can only afford one, or you're gonna buy one first and then later on get one, and the question becomes which one should you get. Now, this over here is a Kubota L3800. I also have another one that I bought that I have at a different location. That's a newer L3901. One of the things I like about this tractor is that you can go to a place like Tractor Supply or Rural King or a lot of these tractor stores, and you can buy basically some type of a grass cutting attachment right at the store. You don't have to go back to the manufacturer to get theirs. That's one of the reasons that I don't like the belly mowers. Usually the belly mowers are specific to a tractor, so you have to go back to the manufacturer to buy it from them. The other reason why I don't like the belly mowers is the tractors that are designed to take them usually sit a lot lower to the ground, and usually, a lot of the work that I do, basically I've been in mud all the way up to the axles. So I mean, it's a bit more work in most cases to remove the belly mower. And also the tractors that are designed to use a belly mower also sit lower. So I prefer to have just a taller tractor, right? One that has more ground clearance, and put a 3-point mower on the back. And here's the thing with the belly mowers: if you're going to be doing any other work, you have to remove this. With this, if I'm going to be doing some minor work, I can just lift it up. And basically, if I lift it up high enough, it's not going to be an issue. I can go do some other minor work, like let's say I want to put on my forks and take something out of my truck or something. I don't have to go and immediately remove that, right? So that's one of the things about having it in the back. It's able to lift up. Okay, so over here we got the brush cutter. I just cut this grass yesterday. It was about a foot high. In some places it was a little bit higher, and this is fairly even ground. So on even ground, where I know I don't have any rocks, I can basically lower the mower, right? Because basically there's only one wheel in the back. In the front, you can bring it down all the way, almost to the point where basically these things here will actually touch the ground. Now, if you touch the ground, you are going to basically where it touches the ground, you're going to end up making lines. You're going to actually dig into the dirt, so you generally don't want to do that. But cutting this grass yesterday, okay, I've got it to about, the average is about 4 inches. Most of it's at 5 inches, and there's some pieces that go up even higher, up to 6 or 7 inches. But it doesn't look like it's cut. So here's the thing. I think about 5 years ago, I had, I was taking contracts to cut the grass at some at different businesses. Now, a lot of these businesses that I was cutting, they had like grass out in the front, but they weren't, but they just wanted it to look like it was maintained. They didn't need it to be like like a perfect cut. So in many of those businesses, I would actually bring the brush cutter, cut the grass, and the reason why I would prefer to use the brush cutter is because I was able to cut the grass a lot faster, move at a faster speed, and just get it done faster. Same thing here. Yesterday when I cut this, I just wanted to get this thing done as quickly as possible, and I put the brush cutter on there, and I was able to zip back and forth. And especially in an area, some areas over here, they have like uneven ground. So when I got to uneven ground, basically I would just lift it up a little bit more. But I'm able to cut a lot faster. Okay, with the finishing motor, generally you gotta go a little bit slower, because if the finishing motor, if you start dragging things, I have ripped off the wheels on it, where I had to kind of weld them back. So with the finishing mowers, they're a little bit more delicate. Also with the finishing mowers, I'm going to show you one in a minute. With the finishing mowers, if you get into an area where the grass is high, right, what's going to happen is you're going to see that it starts actually like binding up the blades a little bit, and you know the mower starts shaking. I have actually had situations where the grass was like so high that it bound up the blades, and it actually, you know, it actually stalled the tractor. Okay, but that's usually if I have it really low. Usually, if I'm cutting with the finishing mower and I see that the grass is a foot high, what I will do is I will lift up the mower in the back and just make 2 passes. So I'll cut it once, let's say at about, you know, 6 inches, and then, you know, and then make another pass where I actually lower it to the ground. So I'm able to also use the finishing mower to, you know, even cut an area like this. Sometimes that's simply, you know, that's what I got on the back there. I need to get into an area really quickly because I need to work in that area. And if I got the finishing mower on it, you know, I'll just do that. But I just hold it at a higher level. Okay, so there is a bit of overlap between your brush cutter and your finishing mower. Your brush cutter can get you down to about, you know, 4 or 5 inches where it looks like a decent cut. Likewise, sometimes if you have like really tall grass and all you have is a finishing mower, you can hold it a little bit higher, you know, raise the back up a little bit higher, cut, and just make 2 passes on it. And you know, or even if you know you're in an area that's got really uneven ground, you know, and you don't want to run the wheels on the ground, you can just hold it higher and just go through that area, just not even letting the wheels touch the ground, and you can quickly get it cut that way. Okay, so I'm gonna take you to a different area where I did cut it with the finishing mower. You guys can take a look and see what that looks like. Before I go to the other area, I just wanted to give you guys a closer look at the grass cut with the brush cutter. So it is a bit more uneven, but you know, from you know 10 feet away, I mean, it does look like it's been cut. So if you're just cutting it in an area where you're not going to have people like picnicking or, you know, standing on and socializing, the brush cutter can be a good option. It's also cheaper. I think this one was something like $600 or something when I got it. I know that the finishing mowers are a lot more expensive. They're closer to it. They're over $1,000. So yeah, one of the things I like about these 38 horsepower tractors, I mean, they got 30 horsepower PTO power. All right, so there's 30 horsepower at the PTO back there. But the nice thing about this is it's in a horsepower range that you can just go into a tractor supply and just, you know, basically buy one and get to work on it. You don't have to go back to the manufacturer. So you have lots of buying options when you got a tractor that's someplace between, you know, 25 horsepower and 45 horsepower. You know, once you get up into the 50 horsepower range, you know, now you can easily overwhelm the implement on the back with too much power. Okay, so this is an area I cut with the finishing mower. You can see it's a much finer cut. I'll get lower to the ground. All right, so it's about, on average, it's about 3 inches high. I mean, you know, there's some peaks that are around 4 inches. But it is a much nicer cut. Now, on occasion, I have cut this also with the brush cutter, just because I was in a hurry. That's what I had on it. So you know, you know, I can make it work here. It's just going to be on average about 1 inch higher. Now, when cutting this with the finishing mower, you know, especially in the spring, like when the grass grows really high, sometimes I have to. In some areas, I do have to double cut it. There's some areas where it generally grows faster than others, so I do have to raise my my mower a little bit, make 1 pass, and then come back and make another pass. All right, because what happens is, you know, if you got the mower, because right now I have it set, you know, like cutting at 3 inches, which is fine. You know, if you're cutting from 5 inches and trying to bring it down to 3 inches, you're fine. But if you're like at 6 or 7 inches, right, and you try to run your finishing mower at the lowest level, you know, basically there's a lot, you know, with the 30 horsepower that my tractor has at the PTO, right? It's a 38 horsepower tractor with 30 at the PTO. You know, I mean, you can feel the thing starting to shake. It's struggling. What can happen is if you keep forcing it and you keep making the tractor work that hard, the belt starts to loosen up, because the finishing, one of the things I hate about finishing mowers is that they're belt driven. There's 3 blades in there that are belt driven. And if you're making your finishing mower work too hard, it's gonna start eating up your belt a lot faster. And those belts are like $60. Now they're probably even more. So that's the thing. You don't want your finishing mower to be working too hard. If you find that it's working too hard, then put the bushings in to raise it a little bit higher, so you're not cutting that low, or use a 3-point to lift it up a little bit more in the areas where the grass is thicker. Now I want to show you guys the finishing mower and make you guys aware of one more thing, one of the weak points on the finishing mower. Okay, so this is my finishing mower. Basically got this at Tractor Supply. I think it was something like I think now it's $1,200. I mean, maybe I paid a little bit less back then, maybe $1,100, but it's over $1,000. So here's the thing for you guys to be aware of. Like I said, number one, if you make this work hard, you're gonna stress the belt out, right? The belt's underneath here. It drives the 3 blades. So if you make it work hard, you're gonna stress the belt out. If you do a lot of like, you know, if you do a lot of cutting where you're cutting at 2 different levels, like I do, where you raise the 3-point in the back, be aware that you are stressing the crap out of this bar right here. There's a bar that goes across. Obviously, this is not the original. I had to replace it. But what happens is when you lift this thing up, and especially if you're doing other work, like let's say you start doing some loader work or something where you're bouncing around, right? What's happening is as you lift it up, this bar that goes across over here is what keeps these 2 pieces, this piece and this piece, from collapsing and coming together, okay? So what happened is on the original one that came here, it broke. I welded it. It was good for about a year. Then just from working it again, I broke it again. So then I basically ended up, you know, just cutting out that bar and putting an, you know, getting a fresh bar in here, just welding the crap out of it, welded it here, welded it up there, you know, basically just to keep everything from collapsing. So be aware, this is a stress point. If you do a lot of work where you're like just rolling around, you know, bouncing around, and you got your finishing mower up in the air, you can expect that this bar over here is going to break at some point, which is not a big deal. You just got to weld it. If you've got a tractor, I think it's really worth you know, buying one of those $500 linking welders. You know, spend a little time, watch a couple of videos, you know, and practice a little bit on welding. It's gonna be well worth your money. You know, having a welder has been, you know, a welding machine has been very useful to me. Now, let me show you guys real quick. I actually have the bucket over here. You know, like I said, this L3800 is about 8 years old, so it's done lots of work. Over here I had to replace the edge over here, right, because it had completely gotten worn out. But here's the thing, this is the type of thing, this kind of work over here, because I went to a professional welder. He put in AR steel over here. For something like this, like the edge of your bucket, you don't want to do it with a $500 welder. You want to get a professional to do it for you, right? You know, so even though I could have done this, it's just, you know, I mean, for something like this, you want somebody to do it that really knows how to weld, okay? But for something like this over here, where you're just doing a quick, you know, where you just got to put a bar in there, and you're not actually like beating this piece against the ground, right, like you're doing with the edge of your bucket. You know, you just need this piece here to keep these 2 halves over here in their place. You know, that's something that you can do yourself, okay? So but yeah, just be aware, the finishing mower, that is a weak point. If you're driving around, you've got this thing up in the air, bouncing around a bit, eventually it is going to crack there, okay? So, hope you guys found this video useful. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.